Pardon me if I'm being a prisoner of the moment, but that's just me. And I'm not. Okay. I'm in no way comparing.
Here we go.
Wow,
what a
don't worry.
Start.
I'm not going to say he's going to win 7 Super Bowls. I'm not saying that he's the next Tom Brady. What I am saying, the Patriots didn't know that they were getting their franchise quarterback when they took Tom Brady with the 199th overall pick in the 6th round of the 2000 draft. I think the 49ers, in a roundabout way, have found their quarterback.
They don't need to make this decision. They can have Trey Lance and Brock Purdy next year, and they can look at both of them.
Am I writing off Trey Lance too soon?
Probably.
Christian Watson in Green Bay, dropping balls, looking horrible, getting concussed, being hurt.
Well, he was a 2nd-round pick, so I don't know if he going to work out.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
Green Bay took him in the 2nd round.
You're so funny.
Listen.
You're so funny. You taking that act on the road? You gonna take that on the road? Okay.
Once he got some confidence.
Hey, it feels different, right? It feels different. The work and the results speak to that. Keep doing it. Reload this week, one more at a time.
The Lions, I think, are the best story in the NFL right now. But I wonder what this means to the city of Detroit. I just got a text from Detroit's own Vincent Goodwill, who says, the Lions stink, period. So, you know what? Some people just don't know how to be happy.
You know what, Charles? One thing we haven't talked about in the last 30 minutes, Michael Smith just got up and bounced in the middle of a show. I mean, he left. He started off doing the show, and then he just left. Isn't that crazy? Is that not nuts?
You insulted him.
I think that's a little crazy.
You insulted him.
It is a Tuesday. We are feeling good, and you're feeling good too. You've made the right decision by tuning in and hanging out with us, whether you're consuming us on Sirius XM channel 85, 35 spots down from the groove, or you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform, or watching on peacocktv.com. We appreciate you. We love you. Jim Trotter is here. In the Jim Trotter seat. Yesterday, Michael Smith was in the Jim Trotter seat. Now Jim Trotter is in the Trotter seat today. What's up, Jim? How you feeling?
Man.
How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Back from Detroit, feeling good. Y'all got to
you at that game? You out in the D?
Yeah, I should have texted Vinny and said, "Come on down, come enjoy it. You know, be a part of it. You know."
He gave
up. They got something going on there.
Yes, they do. They do have something going on. And it's something when you see a downtrodden franchise that is on the rise and then, has some optimism about to turn things around, you can just feel it. If not this year, the expectation going into the 2023 season for the Lions is we're going to make the playoffs. Hey, we're going to make the playoffs for the first time either since 2016, if they don't make it this year, or hey, we'll make the playoffs like we did last year, but this year we won't just back in. We coming for the NFC North. I like that optimism and that excitement that's going on in Detroit. Now, contrast that with what we saw last night appropriately in the desert. And it's been a desert for a long, long time for the Arizona Cardinals. And Jim, you covered sports for a long time. You know what it's like when an owner is sitting around looking at just taking stock of his franchise, just kind of sitting there on a Monday night. That's a prime time position. And so Monday nights just hit different. Sunday at 1 on the East Coast, Sunday at 4:25, you lose a game, you lose another one. You make the same mistakes. Okay, fine. At least you don't feel like the whole league is watching you. It's just your fan base is disappointed, but not the league. Last night, the league has one game to watch, and it's the Patriots and the Arizona Cardinals. And if you're looking at that, you know, I always used to say this, Jim. The thing I like about the playoffs is that the playoffs let you know just how far away you are from the top. And when you get to the end of it, your team makes the playoffs, and then you watch the Super Bowl participant, and you say, nah, we're not close to that. Or, hey, we're pretty close to that. We didn't make it this year, but we're close. But for the Cardinals, they have that going on. They have a losing streak. They have a really nasty, home streak. I think 11 out of 12, or they lost 12 of the last 13 at home. And the Super Bowl, where's the Super Bowl this year? Arizona. So you're going to see the world. The world is going to come to you, and they'll be talking about two participants. They ain't going to be talking about you. And it will really be clear how far you are from real, true contender status. Man, it's a sad organization, isn't it?
Michael, it's funny that you bring them up because I was speaking to someone internally there last week, so even before this game, who was telling me that, I shouldn't say this one person, there were multiple people I spoke to, and were saying that, man, it's not a good situation in Arizona right now. And it's funny that you bring up the owner, because the owner, I always talk about leadership starts at the top. And what people were telling me there is that folks at the top aren't being held accountable, and that starts with the ownership. When you look at some of the things that Cliff Kingsbury has done, you say, who's holding him accountable? Well, from what I understand internally, it's not the GM. And so when you look at some of the moves the GM has made or has not made, and you say, who's holding him accountable? You would say the owner. I was told owner's not holding him accountable. So as I look at the Cardinals going forward, it's hard to think about how they're going to turn this around, because Michael Bidwell just extended the GM and the coach prior to the season. And you could make the case that there was no justification for it, right?
Listen. I love Jim. I love working at NBC Sports, based in Connecticut. But I kind of wish, in my daydreams, NBC Sports were based in Arizona, because they were giving away. They were just giving away contracts, man. Last year, this calendar year, as a matter of fact, giving away contracts. So Kyler Murray, contract for you. Cliff Kingsbury, contract extension for you. Steve Keim, general manager, contract extension for you. Everybody's getting paid in Arizona. Hey, paychecks are up, production is down. That's the American way. Yes, let's go get it. Let's get paid and really have not a lot to show for it. And speaking of shows, all of this is playing out on Hard Knocks. So, but you said something there. You said something interesting. I want you to follow up on it. The owner is not being held accountable. Who typically holds ownership accountable in any organization?
What I meant by that is the owner is not holding the GM accountable.
Okay,
and the GM then is not holding the coach accountable. And the coach is definitely not holding some of the players accountable. Look, Michael, there is a problem with discipline and respect in terms of the hierarchy. When a player comes off the field and says to the head coach, calm the F down, right? I don't know of any player who would walk off the field and say to Bill Belichick, calm the F down, and would still be on the roster. On the field.
And then go back on the field. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's just a small sample size, and I don't want to get too deep into it right now, because I'm sure it's something I'll be working on at the end of the season. But there are problems there internally. And to me, they've got to get those things addressed. And there's a culture issue there, too, that has to be addressed in terms of accountability. And we knew when Bruce Arians was there, for instance, Bruce was holding everybody accountable, at least in terms of his players. And he didn't play favorites, so to speak. You had to earn his trust. I've had those conversations with Larry Fitzgerald about it, where Larry once told me Bruce nearly broke him. because Larry was always accustomed to having such a good relationship with his head coach. And in terms of what Bruce did to him early, Bruce treated him as if he was an undrafted free agent. Some of the ways he talked to him and some of the things he had him do. And Larry had to earn Bruce's trust to the point that they're close now. And Larry later bought Bruce a car after he, broke or he injured Bruce's shoulder when they were doing a hug after a victory or something. And got him a Christmas present. And that's a hell of a present to get him a Mercedes convertible, for injuring his shoulder. If Larry wants to come knock my shoulder out of the joint, in return for a,
what kind of car it was? What kind of car was it?
It was a Mercedes. Mercedes convertible.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mercedes.
Yes.
You did say that. I wasn't listening. My fault.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So anyway, they got issues in Arizona is the bottom line.
And they've gone from Larry Fitzgerald gifting Bruce Arians with the Mercedes to DeAndre Hopkins last night gifting the Patriots with the touchdown that turned the game around. I mean, you see this? I mean, there's so much, and Troy Aikman said this in the broadcast, is one of the things that he didn't pull punches on last night. I got more on that. He pulled punches last night. And you're going to be paid that much money. Don't be pulling punches during the game. And I kind of know why. He kind of gave us a hint why.
I like this Michael Holley. Listen,
hey, you got to be a truth teller. You got to be a truth teller. Hurt feelings, that's okay. That's okay. You can stand on the truth, and you feel good about it. I might as well get there. I might as well get there right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just jump ahead. Troy Aikman said at the very beginning of the broadcast, right, how predictable is this? Very beginning of the broadcast, they show a shot, that ownership shot that every network does. Okay. Every network does it. And I know I'm close to home now. Okay, I'm close. I know we got football. I know we got Sunday Night Football. I understand. But every network does that. Here's the ownership shot. And depending on who the owner is, sometimes that love letter, that ode to fill in the blank name of the owner goes on for a while. So last night they show Robert Kraft with his son Jonathan. By the way, that's not his only son. He's got other kids now. Okay, they always say, there's Robert Kraft and his son Jonathan. He ain't an only child. Hey, listen, if I'm one of them other sons, I'm like, damn, Dad, can I get that seat?
Just so it's they like know Jerry Jones with Jerry Jr., right? Nobody talks about Jerry Jr. They just talk about Steven and Charlotte.
Steven, right. Listen, there's a Jonathan Kraft. There's also a Daniel Kraft, too. There's like Danny. He's like there's a lot. There's a Josh Kraft. There are lots of Krafts. Anyway, so they're showing this shot of Robert Kraft and his son Jonathan. He said, Aikman says, hey, not many owners stop by the broadcast booth to say hello. Well, why do you think he stopped by the broadcast booth to say hello, Troy, right before the game started? You think he just wanted to check in with you? You don't think he could have done that earlier in the week? Maybe so you could, say things in a certain kind of way. And sure enough, Troy Aikman last night, I kept waiting for this quarterback, this Hall of Fame quarterback, well paid. I don't begrudge anybody making money. But you got a record contract, and I want to get my money's worth. I want Troy Aikman to talk about this Patriots offense that is coordinated by a defensive coordinator. Like even Vance Joseph, who's got the worst defense in the league, called out Matt Patricia unintentionally earlier this week, said it looks like an offense that's coordinated by a defensive guy. Why is Mac Jones struggling? Why can't the Patriots, why are they the worst team in the league in the red zone? Come on, Troy, give it to me, baby. And no. He just kind of held up. He kind of spoke in anagrams a little bit. He kind of, you got to get it. It's a little bit of a riddle. He didn't give us the real stuff. But anyway, one thing he did say last night, he didn't hold back on this. He said there's a lot of bad football being played in the league right now. And he just said that matter-of-factly, and that was late in the game. And I said, finally. It was like the fourth quarter. He said, yes, Troy, truer words have not been spoken tonight. And Jim, I don't know if you agree. If you look at where we are right now on December, what's today, the 13th? Where we are on December 13th, this is really, we always say teams separate themselves in December and January. Well, sometimes they separate themselves just by refusing to be stupid. just by letting somebody else be more self-destructive than they are. The Patriots are not a great football team, far from it, but they don't do things like this to cost themselves games. And I think we're going to see that not just from the teams like the Patriots taking advantage of this, but some other teams who are on the playoff fringes just kind of holding their position, doing what they can, staying within themselves, and then benefiting because they don't do crazy things like put knives in their eyes and all sorts of ridiculous antics that the Cardinals did last night.
Yeah, but Michael, you've been around long enough. You know the truism in the NFL that says more games are lost than won. And last night was one of those examples. And look, to your point, the really good coaches understand when to take risk and when not to. And what do I mean by that? I remember back when I was covering the Chargers one year, I think it was the early 2000s. They had the NFL's #1 ranked defense. And I remember talking to some people around the league, and they were like, yeah, but the defense really isn't that good. And I'm like, well, what do you mean it's not that good? It's ranked #1. And they said, no, their offense is so bad that opponents don't have to open up their offense and try, to take chances. They can just wait because they know that San Diego offense, it was in the San Diego Chargers, that offense was going to make mistakes that were going to give opportunities to the opponent to go and win the game. And sure enough, it was true, because I'm sitting up there trying to tout that defense about how good it was. And the reality was it was good, but it wasn't #1 good because its offense was so bad that teams just kind of held back until they needed to score. And typically when they needed to score at the end of the game, opponents would go down the field and score. So you're right. I think Bill Belichick obviously is smart enough to understand that there are certain teams that you don't have to take a lot of chances with, that they will beat themselves. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's absolutely true in today's NFL.
So where does Tampa Bay fit in that whole construct? Are they a team that is not talented enough and that's why they don't win? Are they a team that beats themselves? Is it a team with a really great shining crown jewel and a quarterback, but not much around him? Because you told me at the beginning of the season, you said this might be the year. This might be the year where Tom Brady starts to dip. And I'm not sure Brady is dipped, but I know his team has.
Yeah, let's be clear. I never said Brady would dip. I said I believe that the Bucs would dip, that I believe they would not make the playoffs. And I said that because, as I said to you then, the minute a player starts talking about retirement, let alone actually retiring, he's retired in my mind.
So you want to stick with it? You want to stick with that? That the Bucs won't make the playoffs? I do.
Well,
I want to stick
let me
with
put it to you this way. If I stick with it, it's not for the reason I thought in the beginning. In the beginning, prior to the season, I thought it was because the Saints would win the division. But now,
who cares why you were right?
I know. Well, I know. Look, I guess the details matter to me. But right now, I would say, if I were to say that, it's because I think Carolina will win that division. And to me, that's one of the best stories in the NFL besides the Lions and what the Commanders have done. But for Steve Wilks to come in there after Matt Rule was fired, to make the changes on the staff, to make the changes on the roster, do the things that he has done, and now have that team a game out of first place, and having already beaten the Bucs this year, and to be 3-1 in the division, I think it would be a hell of a story for Steve Wilks to come back after the way he was treated, coming full circle in Arizona, to now get an opportunity and potentially win that division would be incredible.
It's a hell of a story on Brother from Another. It would not be a hell of a story nationally if that happens because of the division that they play in. So you know how it would play out nationally. Like right here, I agree with you. Everything you said, because I think the Panthers are going to win the division. They're 5-8. They have the same divisional record as the Bucs. They've beaten the Bucs head-to-head. Look who the Bucs have next. Look who the Panthers have next. The Panthers, no Kenny Pickett. I'm guessing no Kenny Pickett on Sunday. So you've got the Panthers facing Mitch Trubisky, and the Bucs facing Joe Burrow. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, that's just not good. I'm just gonna put it right there. I'm gonna say it like that. That's not good. So I anticipate on not to do an early version of My Bet's Your Money, but I anticipate the next time we talk that both teams will be 6-8 with 3 games to play down the stretch, 6-8. And if you look at the Panthers' schedule, ooh, it is lovely. They really don't have a tough schedule. They don't have a tough schedule, so they should be well positioned.
Don't do that, Michael. Don't do that.
I know. Any given Sunday and all that stuff. But you know what people say that? Like the any given Sunday thing. All right, look. Any given Sunday, you know what that cliche is for? I'm telling you, any given Sunday is a cliche for the worst people in America. And you know who they are? They're the literalists. They're the literalist will be the death of us all. Like, you cannot say anything to a literalist because they always have, oh, no. Hey, you say, look, hey, if Kansas City plays the Texans, Kansas City is going to beat that ass. Okay, you say that to a literalist, and a literalist says, well, I remember that time that a 2-win team beat a 13-win team, so you can, we know it's possible. We know it's possible. No, but what's likely?
I could go so many ways with this.
Math?
I could go so
What's the math?
I could go so many ways with this. I could go so many ways with this, but I won't.
Go ahead. Go.
No. I'm gonna let you have the point. Because if we get into the literal game and you're talking about beating asses, I mean, I'm not gonna go there. So I'm gonna keep this on football right now. I think even I can't get past that one. No, I agree with you. I think Carolina right now would be the favorite for it, but I think part of the reason that that the Panthers are doing what they are doing is because, again, to use the football cliche, they are staying focused and in the moment, one game at a time, as our guy Marty Schottenheimer would say, not looking down the road and just playing from that way. And again, man, I couldn't be happier for Steve Wilks. He got a bad treatment in Arizona to be fired after 1 year without a franchise quarterback.
See the theme here? The theme is what a through line. The through line has just been consistent the entire show. We started off talking about bad organizations.
Yep.
We mentioned Arizona off the top, the season that they're having, and then you just go to Steve Wilks and where did he get bad treatment? Wow. It was in Arizona. Is that a coincidence? No. Yeah, I'm happy for him too. But I'm saying, Jim, the reason that won't be the number one story is if Carolina Panthers overtake the Buccaneers and win this division and leaves Tom Brady out of the playoffs, that's going to be your headline. That is the bold headline. Tom Brady doesn't make the playoffs, overtaken by the Carolina Panthers. So that focus will be on, hey, what's going on with the Buccaneers? Unfortunately, it might lead to some conversation about Todd Bowles after he took over for Bruce Arians. Will Brady come back? Where will Brady go? All that kind of stuff.
That's the number one storyline, even more than the Bucs and what went wrong and Todd Bowles and all of that. You know darn well the story is going to be, is Tom Brady going to play again? And if so, where? Because it won't be Tampa. That will be the story. And people are already speculating about where could Brady fit next year. Like you've already heard about Vegas and other clubs, about even San Francisco, where he would be good next year, potentially, if he were to play again. I'm not going down that road right now. Look, he's still got a shot to make it this year, but there are problems in Tampa, obviously. That's me stating the obvious. And that one of the more mystifying storylines of this entire season for me is how a player of Tom Brady's caliber cannot get on the same page with a receiver of Michael Evans. Yes, Mike Evans. How he can't get on the same page with Mike Evans. It makes no sense to me. None. And it's not like it's their first year together. So what has changed this year for the two of them that all of a sudden one is seeing one thing and the other one is seeing something else? I will be fascinated at the end of the year when they are honest, I believe, at that point about it, of what went wrong or why this isn't working for the two of them, because they're not going to tell us right now. But at the end of the year, it'll come out.
I want to pick up on this when we come back, but I'm just going to ask you a question. You know, remember how you felt when you got out of bed when you were 25? 25 felt great, had great energy. You're just great. You can do anything. You didn't worry about rest. You didn't worry about, oh, I got to conserve my energy. But when you were 45, things start to ache a little bit. It's not the same. Could that be happening to our 45-year-old hero, Tom Brady? It's not bad. Just not quite what it used to be. Like Cedric the Entertainer said, never quite curl. It's just Tom Brady's just not curling like he used to. Is it possible? We'll talk about it. I know you got comments. I know you got comments on this.
Dree Greenlaw came up to you and asked you to sign the football for an interception. And you had done that with Brandon Eccles a year ago, and you said, I'm not signing any more mistakes. And yet this young man was so excited. He said, you're the greatest ever. This is the biggest moment, in essence, of my life. And you signed the ball. Tell us about that moment, what it was like for you, Tommy.
Yeah, it was for me, to be honest. It was complete. But I try to be a gentleman. No, it was actually, look, it was a great play he made. I'm happy he's got the ball. I wish I didn't throw it, but I'm trying to be a good sport, because a lot of times I'm not a good sport. I could be a pretty bad sport. And so in the moment when they get me in the right frame of mind, I'm actually a good sport. So try to be a good sport.
You look good. You look like you meant it. You look nice, Tommy, when you were signing the ball. There were a lot of cameras on you too, pal. You kind of you were forced into that one.
Thanks, babe. Appreciate it.
So it's Tom Brady talking about the moment after San Francisco really put a beating on Tampa Bay. It was 35-7. The game was really never competitive. Brady threw an interception, threw a couple of interceptions, but an interception there after the game. Player went up to him and said, hey, you're the greatest. Been watching you since I was 2 years old. Jim, Mike Jones, been watching Tom since he was 2. Okay. All right. So Tom, at 45 years old, gave him an autograph on his podcast. So Jim, go ahead. I know you want to say something to me because you think I'm being maybe unfair. What, you got some comments about Tom Brady. Go ahead. Just hit me with it.
No, I just find it curious how quickly you turn on your guys, your friends. You know, Tom's your guy. How could you? Why are you so negative?
All right. So I just want to say this, and Mike, I want you to know this too, because I don't want any of my friends to think, oh, this is how it is when I start to struggle. Oh, your brother's gonna start taking shots at me. Tom Brady, I'm so thankful for Tom Brady. I've told you that this house that I'm sitting in, Tom Brady built the house. My kids are going to college on the Tom Brady Scholarship Fund, okay? Now, Tom Brady has been good to the Holley family, so I love Tom Brady. His success has been our success. Thank you, Tom. It's not personal. Mike, does this sound like it's personal? It's not personal. I am just stating what everybody sees, including Mike Jones, and that is, just because you're the greatest of all time doesn't mean that automatically your team is going to come along with you. You can't be, at some point, you lose the ability to drag a team, to will a team to victory. And that's where Tom Brady is now. He's still a very good quarterback, but he is not a top 3 quarterback in this league anymore. Career-wise, yes. Currently, no. And that's why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, despite Brady's good play, he can't overcome. Brady is not able, Mike, to cover up all the things that ail the Buccaneers. Agree or disagree?
Well, in the words of Giselle, is he supposed to catch the passes too and make the tackles and get interceptions too? I mean, he can still play at a high level, but the defense is letting him down. His left tackle, who holds every single play, is letting him down. The inconsistent wide receivers that he can't get on the same page with are letting him down. So Brady is still Brady,
No.
Almost.
No.
There might be a little bit of a, that edge isn't quite there, but he could still be doing better if he had the support that he had in 2020 from this Bucs team.
Can I just say, Mike? Can I just say, Brady is not still Brady. Not Brady all caps. He's capital B, lowercase RADY, Brady. But it used to be Brady. Hey, you talking about the defense? I watched Tom Brady carry. This is facts. You look it up. I watched Tom Brady carry one of the worst defenses since the merger to the Super Bowl. All right, the 2011 Patriots went to the Super Bowl. They had, yardage-wise, they were one of the worst defenses ever. And he carried them to the Super Bowl because he was that dude. He was. But he's not that anymore. He's still very good.
Can I jump in for one quick second? I would like to ask our illustrious producer, Gary Carter, go back prior to week 1, please, and bring the clip back of me saying I didn't think the Tampa Bay Bucs would make the playoffs, and bring back and show not only the expression on Michael Holley's face, but what he had to say to me about how foolish, in essence, I was being by saying that.
Ooh, I don't recall that. I wouldn't say that.
Why?
I don't recall that.
Because of Tom Brady. Because of Tom. How could you say that about Tom Brady? Not making the play? No. And now look at him. Now he's just going off on his boy.
Jim,
now he's just hitting
probably
him
said
hard.
it. Jim, hey, look, Jim, you probably said in the summer, content, you just kind of scratching for content in the summer. I was just trying to push you on. You know what I mean? I agree with you, but hey, man, we're trying to do a show here. We gotta create
now you agreed
some
with
stuff,
me.
Okay, I agree with you.
You left me out on
you
left me out on that limb by myself for somebody who agreed with me.
It was good for you, though.
Right?
It was good for you.
I got you. I got you. Yeah. Go ahead. Let's hear from Mike Jones. He's smarter than both of us about all this. Go on,
yes,
Mike Jones.
Yes, he is.
No. I am not. I am still trying to be like Lord Trotter when I grow up, which is a long way from now. I actually walked up to him the first time in Ashburn. I said, "Hi, I've been reading you since I was 7 years old." And he said, "Oh, well, I was only 16 at the time, huh?" I agree with you that Brady, isn't quite have that edge, but he does have enough. And so when you're looking at people, you can't point the finger at him. Again, we saw a 70-yard touchdown pass to Mike Evans, who finally ran the right direction, called back as a holding. We've seen the defense not generate the pressure, not get the stops that they should. So I still think that if you had took Tom Brady and plugged him into another team where the defense was more consistent, where the talent was more consistent, where he had a reliable pass-catching tight end, his team would have a winning record right now. Yes, this past Sunday, we saw him throw awful interceptions, but otherwise, we haven't seen him look awful this year.
I think there's a part of him, and this is just from afar too, as you watch him, I think there is a frustration level on his part right now about how he has not, and this team has not, been able to get on track consistently. There might be a performance at the end of the game where they make a final drive score to win or whatever, and you think, okay, now we're turning the corner, and then you come back out the next week like they did this past Sunday and just get the brakes beaten off of them. So I think there's a level of frustration with him, and I think that maybe he has tried to do some things or force some things that maybe he might not have in the past. I do agree, if this is possible, I agree with both of you. I think with Mike, Tom Brady's still an elite quarterback. But to Michael's point, there are certain things he no longer does as well as he used to earlier in his career. But if you put him on a team where you can play complementary football, where your offensive tackle isn't holding on every other pass play, or where he can get on the same page with his receiver, to me, there's nothing that says he can't go back to another Super Bowl. But can he get into one of those situations?
Let's stay right there. I'm going to say something that will surprise you both. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have scored fewer points this year than the New England Patriots. Isn't that something? Like the Patriots. Yeah. And so Brady has handpicked everything that's happening in Tampa. He has created it. He didn't have to deal with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as his quarterback coach and his offensive coordinator. He's got Mike Evans, as you said earlier. Jim brought in Julio Jones. All these pieces that he has made happen, and yet their offense is worse than the Patriots' offense, if you can believe that. But Mike, I want to ask you, what have you heard about next year for Brady? I think he will play. Any whispers about where he's going? Because I think Kyle Shanahan wanted him, and then he played him on Sunday. He's like, "No, we're good."
I was
but where's he gonna go?
I was asking a number of people about this just after Sunday, just saying like, hey, what do you think? And a lot of people are still kind of 50-50. A number of people still think, nah, he's probably going to hang it up. But you never can say never until Brady says so. Then other people say, hey, you know what? San Francisco could be an option. Obviously, they've got some figuring out to do with Trey Lance, who there's still a lot of questions that they gave up the farm for. But San Francisco, is Las Vegas an option? Would the New York Jets be an option? Go up there and torment Bill Belichick twice a year with a really talented defense and some young on the rise offensive players. But then what if Robert Kraft says to Bill Belichick, hey, Mac Jones is up and down. Let's load this thing up and get Brady for one more last hurrah, and you guys can ride off into the sunset together. Or what if Mike Vrabel tries to get his buddy to come over and help him? He's going to have some options. If he does decide, there's going to be probably about 6 teams that have quality defenses, quality run games, and need a veteran quarterback like him that could give them a chance to make a run at a Super Bowl.
Forgot about the one other Patriot guy, McDaniels, out there in Vegas.
I said Las Vegas. Yeah, I said Las Vegas.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. When you get old, your hearing's one of the first things to go. So,
listen, I did that to you. I did that to you earlier too, Jim. I did that earlier.
It's all good.
On the Mercedes,
but the other thing,
Bruce Arians.
Yeah, but the other thing with Tom too is he's got $30+ million a year waiting for him in the broadcast booth. So he may say, I don't need this frustration anymore. I am the GOAT. I'm the greatest of all time. Let me go on and move on and have some fun and make that kind of money. So a lot of unknowns here.
I want you guys, I want you to look at something, as an HBCU dad, Mike Jones, as an HBCU grad, Jim Trotter, I want you to, it's not ready yet. I have something for you. That's a little tease, though. That was a tease. I got something for you guys this segment. So stay close. I have a surprise for you coming up in a couple of minutes. And it's not a surprise that's gonna. I know you guys are looking at me like, oh, he's gonna try to set us up to do something. He's gonna try to embarrass us. I'm not gonna do that. It's gonna be a good thing. But let me ask you about something else, though. I asked Charles Robinson this yesterday. I want you both to answer this question before we get to our surprise. I look at the AFC, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals are the best team in the AFC. That's saying something, because last year I doubted them the entire time until it was time to go to the Super Bowl, and NBC told me that I was going to be the Bengals beat reporter. Then I turned on them real, like, hey, Bengals, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, I've been supporting you all year. I got you. Hey, Zach, Joe, what's up, Jamar? What's up, baby? Good to see you. But anyway, last year it was a long way for me to figure out Cincinnati was good, but I believe it now. Cincinnati, I say they're the best team in the AFC over Kansas City, 3-0 in the last calendar year over the Chiefs, and over Buffalo. What do you, both of you, I'd like to get your response to that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't think so. I do think they are the number 2 team in the AFC. I think that the way that they've been able to string together wins despite having key pieces on offense not there, losing guys on defense, I think that is impressive. I think that the way that Joe Burrow has kept this thing going is impressive. But I know they beat the Chiefs one time. I don't know. Can you do it again? My money would be with Patrick Mahomes. And so I'm going with them. Yes, their defense has some, little hiccups here and there. But the way that they're able to move the football, you have an ugly game, you throw 3 interceptions and you still win handily with 3 touchdown passes and key plays. the Chiefs are my pick for the number 1 team in the AFC, with the Bengals as number 2.
No, I got to side with Michael on this one from this standpoint. Number one, as you say, can they do it again? As Michael said, they've done it 3 times in a calendar year. And that plays with you psychologically when you go against opponent as well, because Patrick Mahomes wanted that game earlier this year against the Bengals. He wanted to quiet all that talk that they had the Chiefs' numbers, and it didn't happen. But the real reason I would go with Cincinnati at this point is this. They started out struggling, and we all talked about Super Bowl hangovers and all of that. And now they've turned that around despite all of the things that have happened in terms of injuries, Burrow starting slow, all of those various things. And they're playing some of the best football in the NFL right now. So when we get to this time of year, we talk about health and we talk about momentum. And the Bengals, to me, seem to have that more than any other club in the AFC at this point. So we say styles make fights, and if it winds up being the Bengals and Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, I got to put my money on the Bengals again based on history.
But look at that step finish for them. Do you think that they can carry that momentum over? That's the thing, though. The Chiefs have an easy momentum building schedule down the stretch, but the Bengals, that's not an easy cakewalk right there.
Well, let me. Okay,
who's your top team?
To that point, that's what I was going to ask.
Who's a tough team there? I see one.
You see one? No, I see the one. Patriots defense could give them some trouble. Obviously the Bills are tough,
but they can't
and
score.
The Ravens are divisional. But the Ravens are a divisional team that has already beaten them once. If they have Lamar Jackson healthy, that's another tough one right there. So I'm not saying that I don't know that this is going to be an easy, momentum building home stretch for them.
Well, first of all, go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead, Jim. No, Jim, go ahead.
No, I mean, the Bucs are a gimme right now. The way the Bucs are playing. Who put the schedule back up so I can see it? My screen went to another one, so it's small, so I can't see. But the Patriots can't score enough to keep pace with them, in my opinion. The Bills will be the one tough game Michael talked about, and to the Ravens' point, now that next game will be played in Cincinnati, and I think that the Bengals, if you go back to last year in terms of how they played Baltimore, they played them extremely tough as well, and you got to hope that Lamar is healthy at that point. So to me, I'm not necessarily going to say that that's a tough stretch for the Bengals going forward with the way that they're playing.
Yeah, and I know, Mike, last year, I know there were a lot of things going on with Baltimore injury-wise. I mean, they were decimated by injury last year. But in those games, Cincinnati really destroyed.
Wow,
they destroyed the Ravens. It was almost like the Ravens really had no answer. And I guess they've had 2 looks at Jamar Chase now, so they should have a pretty good idea of how to play them. But Jamar Chase had his coming out party, one of his many coming out parties last year, but one of the big ones, it was his white party. He had his white party against the Baltimore Ravens, where he had over like 200 yards against them. So the Bengals historically have struggled against the Browns and have done very well against the Ravens and Steelers lately. So we'll see. I think it's been pretty impressive. No matter what happens with them, it's been impressive. And tell me if you agree with this, Mike. One of my last things for you before I show you my surprise. That didn't come out right. One of the last things before we get to
Oh my goodness. Oh, YouTube bloopers. Here it comes.
We talk about beating ass and surprises and
Yeah, I didn't really have a great night of sleep. So I was up watching Patriots Cardinals. It kind of does things to your brain. But last thing I'll say before we get to the surprise, it's not mine, the surprise, and that is that a lot of teams, those Super Bowl losers, lots of stats about you lose the Super Bowl and then you just kind of collapse. They've acquitted themselves very well, and that's not easy to do. Agree?
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I mean, look, the Super Bowl hangover normally gets the loser, and it got the Super Bowl champ. And the Bengals looked like they had a little bit of a tough stretch, but they pulled their way through and are looking, as formidable as ever. Again, I still roll with Patrick Mahomes, but they are impressive.
All right, last thing. I want you guys.
Hit one quick thing real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong. Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game, correct?
No, I think you're right. They've had the number one.
Right.
No. Didn't they play up in New England? No, you're right.
No, New England went
you're
there.
Right. No, they have not. Yeah.
They would. I think it's fairly important for Kansas City to maintain that 1 seed, in my opinion.
For sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I want to be the Chiefs going on the road to play the Bengals.
But they don't have the 1
AFC
seed.
Championship.
They don't have it. Buffalo has it.
Oh, Buffalo has it right now? Okay.
Yeah, because Buffalo beat them. Buffalo beat them head to head.
That's right. You're right.
So
You're right.
So they got it over. So they Buffalo has it over the Chiefs. All right, check this out. Guys, we had a lot of conversations the last week about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State for Colorado. Lots of interesting, provocative dialogue that really was generated from that singular event, Deion going to Colorado. Well, there was some news with Jackson State today. I want you to take a listen and take a look.
Make sure he's ready to come in, Coach. The 22nd head coach of Jackson State University. Is he ready to come in, Coach? The next head coach of Jackson State University, the one and only TC.
Oh, there's a scene right there. The new head coach at Jackson State is T.C. Taylor. He played there from 1998 to 2001. And, fellas, what really stands out to me, we get so caught up in our conversations about, hey, what did Deion do this the right way? And, hey, Deion left Jackson State and he said goodbye. And what about those kids? And what about us? Well, Deion Sanders is there, the head coach of Colorado, the former coach of Jackson State. Deion Sanders is there for this announcement for Jackson State's new head coach. Jim, I've heard your take on Deion Sanders going to Colorado. Mike Jones, I haven't heard yours. Just your thought about Deion to Colorado and his replacement, T.C. Taylor, there today.
No, I think it's great for him going to Colorado. Look, he did a ton for Jackson State, raised the profile of them and other HBCUs, so he wants to go on and move on to another challenge. Go for it. I'm all for that. But he's also definitely leaving that school in a better position than what it was when he took over. And look, now you see he's elevated one of the top assistants there that you clearly see that the guys have a lot of respect for. You see that job means a lot to Taylor as well. How can you not feel good when you see that? So Deion is still invested. He is not just using that to scrap it and just move on. I think that he's leaving it in the right way.
Yeah, that's great. And, Jim, it reminded me, and we'll go to break on this. It reminded me of Marcus Freeman when he was announcing Notre Dame. And everybody, all the players, he walked in, and the players were just so excited to see somebody who was a part of their program, get promoted. So I'd say good for everybody involved. Good for Deion at Colorado. Good for T.C. Taylor there in Jackson, Mississippi at Jackson State. And Mike Jones, good for you.
That celebratory moment was longer than Deion's tenure at Jackson State.
Oh, wow, the shots continue.
So what?
Oh, goodness. Take the high road. Wow. Take the high road, Jim. Mike Jones, good to see you. All right, so real quick, Jim, we were talking during the break. Deion Sanders. So you had the shot. You had that great shot on the way out. You said that ovation lasted longer than Deion's tenure at Jackson. So
Look,
you still have some issues with Deion. Just a little bit, right? Just
No. Let's be clear. I have no problem with Deion going to Colorado. I mean, if that's where he wants to be, that's where he should be. And if he can increase his profile and his coaching profile and the things he wants to do and increase or improve the livelihoods of his assistant coach, more power to him. I want to be clear. I have absolutely no problem with Deion going to Colorado. My problem, if you want to call it a problem, and I don't even think it's that, is that, look, I try and take people at their words. And when you come in the door and you tell me that God has sent you to Jackson State to do all of these different things, and within a year and a half, you are on record already talking about leaving and saying you would be a fool not to listen if Power 5 schools came, that's why I start to have an issue in terms of what was your real motivation all along. That's all I'm saying. Well, if you want to improve your life and your coaching resume, that's more power to you. But don't think I'm going to forget about what you said coming in the door.
Now, y'all, I had to give him some Bible during the break. I would say, look, God said to the prophet Isaiah, my thoughts are not my thoughts and my ways are not your ways. You may not always understand what God tells you to do, Jim. You just got to follow. You got to follow and trust that it's going to work out.
Here's where I'm going to save you from yourself, Michael Holley. The one thing I do know is that if you want to keep your show, certain things you shouldn't talk about. And religion is one of them. So I'm gonna save you from that because we're not gonna. We're not gonna have that. We're not gonna have that conversation on air.
No, I don't want to talk about religion. But I will say this.
Okay.
If I can't be, and I really believe this, if I can't be myself, I don't need a show. If I cannot be my true self, that's okay. That's all right. I'll do something. It'll be time for me to do something else. But I'm always gonna be myself. But speaking of something that really stands out to me that's authentic and real, tell me about your shirt. That's a great shirt you have on today. I didn't want to get off the air without mentioning that. Tell me about the shirt. Why you wore that shirt today? I love it.
It was a gift. It was a gift from the wife, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, 68 Olympics. Never forget. Never forget.
Love that. Jim Trotter, always great talking to you, brother. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.